Matt Walsh is the host of the Matt Walsh Show and joins us now, and it's good to have you back on. I want to start with you actually on just the breaking news that popped just before the start of the show, which is the president announcing that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of a peace plan, meaning that the hostages will be released very soon and Israel will withdraw troops to that agreed upon first line. It's easy to get excited, but we've been let down so many times before when we deal with groups like Hamas. What's your reaction to this news tonight?
Well, I think you're right. You got to see how it plays out. But Donald Trump, I mean, look, he's sold himself as the peace president, and I think rightfully so. He's come through time and time again, and this is what certainly, you know, as American first conservative myself, and anyone else who's like America first, this is what you want. You want hostilities to cease, and because that's the best thing for the world, but it's the best thing for the country, our country, which of course is our first priority, and it's Donald Trump's first priority.
Yeah. Let's move on and talk about they're kind of parallel in a way, but what we saw here last night in New York and what we keep seeing over and over again, which is just these really dangerous ideologies that are just allowed to kind of flourish on our streets and push the agenda. We had hundreds of people celebrating one of the most atrocious things I can recall in modern history last night on the streets of New York. Do you agree with how the White House and the DOJ want to handle Antifa? Because there's obviously a ton of criticism for what we saw today at the White House.
Well, I totally agree with it. I mean, they've declared Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. That's exactly what it is by any definition of the term, by any workable, coherent definition of the term terrorist. They certainly qualify. This is an organization that it's not like it's an organization that, to use CNN's term, is mostly peaceful, but every once in a while things spill over into violence and threats of violence. That's not what it is. It's fundamentally, that inherently violent, and that is their threats of violence, and violence itself are the tools of their trade. And so this is terrorism. That's absolutely what it is. And when it's easy enough to say that, but when we say that, there are, if we really mean it, then there are ramifications of that. And so if we're going to say that this is a terrorist organization, then that means you have to treat them that way. And treating them that way means that we're not going to just let you go out and engage in this kind of behavior without any kind of consequence. I mean, what actually needs to happen is when you have Antifa mobilizing anywhere, whether it's Portland or anywhere else, what we should be seeing is show up, and it's not let's make one or two arrests. Let's arrest everyone who's doing this and send them to prison, because that's what you do with terrorists. And by the way, we know for sure if the shoe's on the other foot, and if there was any kind of equivalent of Antifa on the right, and there's a Democrat administration, and the right-wing Antifa was out there doing what Antifa does, they wouldn't hesitate to go out there and just round everybody up and put them in jail. So that's what we should do too.
Well, I mean, there is this fear that you're going to suppress speech, right? That there's those that believe that that these are protests, and that suppressing it is more dangerous than letting it cultivate. I don't find that to be anywhere near the truth. But it's this whole idea of is this really a coordinated thing? Is Antifa actually an organization, or is it just where all the angry, forgotten people have just run to commiserate together?
Well, I think it's clearly an organization. I mean, there was a book published called the Antifa Handbook. When you have a handbook, then I think it's pretty good indication that this is something more than just whatever they say, some sort of like amorphous blob of something that we can't define. We all know what it is, and we can all define it. And it's interesting. We're told that, the left acts like, Antifa. Who knows what that is? Well, but the thing is, if I say Antifa showed up in Portland, they showed up outside of a federal courthouse, they showed up and they were harassing ICE agents. When I say that, when you say that, everyone knows what we mean. You immediately have in your mind an image of what that looks like, and even kind of like the uniform, right down to the uniform they're wearing. And so it's very clear what it is and how it should be dealt with.
Yeah, rightly so. Matt Walsh, we appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much. Everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt Tonight on Newsmax.